How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome back to Identico After Dark, our fun, happy little podcast where we talk about gaming, movies, news, entertainment, all kinds of fun stuff, the things that you like. I, as always, am Alex the Humanoid, and I am joined once again by my Identico co-creator, Mallo. Mallo, how are you tonight?
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing tonight?
I hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year to everybody again. I hope your 2023 is starting out good. Better than 2022.
I don't have a lot of hope for 2023. I'm gonna be honest.
You know what?
The past few years, I'm going with the old school way of it. I'm gonna have zero expectations of this year, and then I'll be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised. That's how I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, seriously. So welcome in, everybody. Let's pay some bills really quick. If you are new to the channel, if you haven't seen us before, you can sub to us here on Twitch. You can sub to us on YouTube. You can find us on youtube.com/Identico. All our past episodes of Chaos Incorporated, Angel City Stories, and Identico After Dark can be found on that lovely channel. You get to hear all of our dulcet tones. Damien, thank you for the follow. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to support us as creators, you can grab the core rulebook. It's so pretty at playidentico.com. It is there. You can also grab In Defiance of Chaos from Amazon.com.
Your camera blew that one out.
Yeah, my camera blew that one out. There we go. In Defiance of Chaos, which talks about all the stuff that happens in the world of Identico. Lots of really cool NPCs in there. It's a fun book of short stories. So if you'd like to support us, we'll drop a link to that one here in the chat here in a couple of minutes. It's usually only about $7.99 or $8.99 on Identico or on Amazon for the paperback copy.
If you've watched any of our previous things for Angel City Stories as well, and you want a short story to play in this, there is also one. If you search Warehouse 54 on Amazon, there is a Kindle version of that available. It's a fun read, very quick read, but a fun little side story of some shenanigans that were happening in between Angel City Stories. So I know there's a lot of you out there catching up with the show.
Yes.
So go read some extra material about it, because I promise you'll like it.
Yes, we also have more merch on our store at playidentico.com. You can get the Chaos Inc. shirts, you can get pins, you can get all kinds of fun stuff at our website. So support us, because we're happy third-party people.
Yes.
Okay.
Come support a game that doesn't have to pay fees to WotC.
And we're going to touch on this.
We're still legal to be streaming this right now.
Yeah.
I can pantomime all I want, and they couldn't do anything right now.
Dance. Don't forget dance.
Yes.
Okay. So a little background for those that want to play a little bit of catch-up. Back in December, word came out that Wizards of the Coast had been sending out NDAs and inviting high-level influencers and creators to meetings at Wizards. At that time, rumors started coming out that a new OGL was going to be dropped with the next version of D&D, ostensibly called Open D or 1D&D, as they're calling it right now. And people started going, this is suspicious. We are suspicious. And D&D did a little fact, and they were like, no need to be suspicious. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. And everybody kind of calmed down for a few weeks and said, okay, we're gonna wait.
It was a train wreck, by the way. The 1D&D announcement was an absolute, utter train wreck that I watched from a hotel room on the road on tour. And I went, you have got to be shitting me right now. This is what you're putting out.
Yeah.
And knowing and having met some of the folks that run D&D before, it wouldn't be surprised if there was somebody off camera holding cue cards threatening them to look positive about this change.
Yes.
That's how pained they looked when announcing 1D&D. So I just want to put that out there.
Now, right about this time, also, Hasbro's stock got double downgraded because of what's going on with Magic the Gathering, which does fit in with this. Because one of the responses they had to that was a fireside chat that the CEO of Wizards and the CEO of Hasbro had with their shareholders. And that's the thing that
Which always goes well.
Which is the thing I want you to remember.
For the record.
Shareholders. Just put that in the back of your mind for a minute. Shareholders. And then last week, somebody at Gizmodo, they were sent the full OGL 1.1 contract.
It has
And
now since been leaked online.
it is now the full text of it's out. We're going to go over some of the pieces today, especially some of the pieces. There's a lot of coverage about what's been going on with this thing. There's a few clauses in particular that I want to talk about tonight that in all the coverage that I've been watching and reading have not really been touched on. So that's for you guys, which is the stuff that a lot of people aren't really talking about that means a lot. And Mallo and I both coming from a very corporate background, like I saw this and went, oh crap, it's so much worse. So much worse than everybody thinks.
Actually, let's be real about this. We come from, unlike a lot of people who are commenting upon this, we come from both the creator and business side of it. As somebody who owns a shop,
Yep,
that sells products made by WotC and knows the inner workings of the B2B side of that house. As two creators who have studied this business for over 8-9 years now, I think is what we're going on at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And we've studied all parts of this business, including distribution, the whole 9 yards. We have had plans and discussions and things in the works for a long time. But most importantly, as creators, as people who put out physical products. And then we all both come from a corporate background. So the ways and means of Hasbro and WotC are not secret sauce to us to a degree. We may not know everything. We're not going to claim to have insider knowledge or anything like that here. We're going to take our best guess, but let's be honest, Corpo's going to corp.
Yeah.
And we got some stuff on that. So buckle in when we start talking. I just want to put it out there that we're coming from a place of we kind of know what we're talking about tonight.
And
so just take that with a grain of salt.
the other thing that I want to bring up, I ain't even mad at Hasbro or Wizards about this. None of this is shocking to me. And if you go back and look at our old episodes on YouTube and stuff like that, when they first announced 1D, when this stuff all started going, we called this. We knew it was going to happen. And I'm going to talk about the community reaction, and I'm going to talk about some of the third parties, and we're going to talk about IDENTECO and some of the decisions that Sean and I made behind the scenes back in the very early days of developing IDENTECO, and why we did certain things.
Yes.
So
if you keep seeing me look down, it's because I am marking up the contract.
Yeah.
A la old world doc style is
Yeah.
I'm doing that on the other side of this because I was finally given the full thing just shortly before the show, and I'm currently on payment of royalties, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm marking it up right now.
So here's where I'm actually going to start. I'm going to start at a couple little things at the end, which they bury in the end, right? Usually where they usually go in this type of contract, that
Well,
most
should we-
people miss.
Well, should we let's give the TLDR
All right.
to what the contract now says first.
So here's the
And then
TL.
let's get to it.
Yeah, here's the TLDR of what the contract says. The OGL 1.1 revokes the original OGL 1.0. Okay.
Which, by the way, said you couldn't do.
And we're going to talk about that because there's been some interesting commentary about that, and this is where we're going to get into some wonky stuff toward the end. It revokes OGL 1.0, and it basically says if you plan on publishing third-party SRD content through the OGL, you have to sign on to OGL 1.1.
Specifically for SRD 5.1.
Yes. So,
Which is 5th edition.
right. So, basically what it says, the following things is this. 1, if you are going to continue to publish third-party content, you must report all your sales numbers to Wizards of the Coast. Tell us what you're making. How much?
Well, to go back up for a second there's now 2 versions of the license.
Commercial. and
OGL
non-commercial.
1.0, yeah, there's commercial and non-commercial. And OGL 1.0 never made that distinction. And it's very important that we now have a distinction between
there is.
non-commercial and commercial.
So, they make a distinction between commercial and non-commercial. And they basically say that OGL 1.1 only covers books.
And for the sake of all of our arguments, by the way, we're only really worried about the commercial licensing right now.
Yeah. It only covers books. It does not cover VTTs, actual plays, streaming content, YouTube videos, or anything else besides books in. Boom. I should be back. I am back. We're back. Holy smokes. That was funny.
Chat, blink twice if you can see us.
That was really weird. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
I said in the chat that D&D's hacking us.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're coming after us. Okay. So let's continue talking about the joys of OGL 1.1. So again, like Mallo said, we're only really concerned. Oops. Stop that. We're only really concerned about the commercial license. And again, it only covers books. So you can't do anything with VTTs, third-party anything, apps, nothing else is covered. The only thing else covered is under the fan content policy. And they're very clear that if you want to make stuff and give it away for free, you could do that all day long. All day long. You can give stuff away for free. Woo, free. Right? But if you want to sell it, you have to report everything to Wizards, and it only covers books. Okay.
Well, it only covers books and PDF.
Right. Now,
printed material, as they say.
Yeah. So it's books in either digital or physical format. Those digitals can be EPUB, PDF, however you distribute it digitally. But if you pay, you got to report everything to Wizards. Now, the other thing that it says is if you make over $750,000 in gross revenue, you must pay 25% to Wizards of the Coast. And Damien brings up a good point in the chat. Static PDF.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So, now...
I mean, who makes interactive PDFs these days? That's a joke against me because you guys keep asking for one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, anything over $750,000, every dollar past that, you pay 25% to Wizards. Unless you're crowdfunding, and specifically you're crowdfunding on Kickstarter. Now, right after this leak, the initial reactions, a lot of people's initial reaction was, oh, this can't be right. The Kickstarter director of games came out the day of the leak and was like, yep, that provision about Kickstarter, it's true.
His exact quote was, I argued down from 25 to 20 because I care about our community.
Yeah. And so, take that for what it's worth.
Well, I mean, it confirms that that's the SRD.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be minor changes in the one that leaked because I can see there's some formatting errors and stuff like that.
There's some weird stuff
I have.
in there.
Yeah. You know, when lawyers write things, they write fast, they go through things, they copy pasta a lot, because some of this stuff is very cookie cutter in terms of warranty, licensing, how we can terminate these sort of things.
So, the other thing that they do is they put in a provision allowing them to change OGL 1.1 at any time with 30 days notice.
Yes.
30 days. So the presumption is, they've set the threshold at 750 now, but next year they could go, 30 days. Now it's 250. Now it's 150.
Now it could be $200.
It could be $100. They can make it whatever they want with 30 days notice in the future. That's where they're at. The other thing it says, and this is the key part that a lot of people have covered, and we're going to get to the stuff that a lot of people haven't covered, is this. They get a permanent sub-license for anything you publish in perpetuity.
I'm looking to find that in here.
Hang on.
And I may have not gotten to that page yet. That's why I'm looking.
You own, so it's under section X, subsection B. You own the new and original content you create. You agree to give us a non-exclusive, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide sub-license, royalty-free license to use that content for any purpose. So if you create a cool dungeon with a badass set of bosses and they go, hey, you know what? We want to turn this into a streaming series, a limited edition streaming series. They could take your content, make a streaming series on Paramount Plus, and pay you nothing. They don't owe you a dime. Okay?
I really wish they would put fucking page numbers on this thing so I could just ask you what page it's on.
Yep. And so the chat's like,
there's 2 section X's.
Yeah. The chat's saying cool campaign setting. It's ours now. Basically. That's the other thing. Now, here's the other stuff that a lot of people aren't covering. That's the TLDR. Here's where I went, oh my God, it's much worse. So when you go to the crowdfunding section specifically, and I'm going to do this, and I had to do this yesterday with metaphors, and I was basically practicing this. So let's pretend if you're
The first one. Hey, I see it coming back up. I'm in charge now. I got the power.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know what's going on.
Come hack this D&D. D&D's nuts.
Okay.
That's my only joke for tonight.
Let's try this one more time. So let's talk about crowdfunding. Now, first off, they've basically said if you want to crowdfund on Indiegogo, screw you. You have to pay us an extra 5%.
True.
Right? But this is the worst part. So this is the part of the crowdfunding that's driving me a little crazy. So if you're watching this later on YouTube, you see this. So let's pretend, we're just pretending, that this is the book you're going to crowdfund that's under the OGL 1.1. Hi, I'm going to crowdfund this. This is cool. Come crowdfund my campaign setting. Okay. Now, let's say that as one of your crowdfunding tiers, you're going to include this dice bag with some dice in it. Custom dice you made. Has nothing to do with the OGL, has nothing to do with D&D, has nothing to do with anything. But you're going to bundle it in your crowdfund. This is your $40 tier, that's your $50 tier, right? If you sell this completely separately, it's fine. But if you bundle this dice bag with dice with the licensed product under OGL 1.1, you have to pay revenue on the dice too. You have to pay royalties. It now becomes qualifying revenue.
It does, and it becomes, it's super complicated too, because the way that they're putting it out there is they say if you've got one Kickstarter and it goes for $200,000, and you get another Kickstarter and it goes for $600,000, that together is $800,000, and thus you owe $50,000 worth of royalties.
Yeah, it's a yearly.
Yeah, it's a yearly kind of thing. So it's not based on the actual product; it's based on the studio that's putting it out there.
Right.
And Damien is saying you've got it backwards. WotC, it was a dice Kickstarter. I included free copies of my latest book with the dice. I love that too. We'll get to Cobalt in just a second too. And it is based on revenue because profit is harder to track because you can hide things.
Movie
in
studios
profit
do
margins.
it all the time.
Well, and you can hide deductions and things like that in profit margins all day long, and then you would have to show, because then you open yourself up. If you had to do it based on pure profit alone, then that would require you to show Wizards how you print your books, and that would then give Wizards a competitive advantage on the production and sale of their books, which is an infringement upon your rights as a creator, no matter if you're using licensed content or not, because the license of the content does not go. If you have a really cool way, like if I owned an offset printer myself and I could do anything I needed to do in print and stuff like that, that is a competitive advantage that I have over WotC, and I can run books for any kind of thing over that. I should not then have to tell WotC that I have a competitive advantage there, because that's not their business. That is my business. That is my ability to run my business the way that I want. And those kinds of trade secrets and things like that are very much protected under the FTC.
Here's a couple other things in here, and then I'll start taking your questions about specific stuff. And again, it's buried at the end where they always put this stuff. If they fail to exercise any specific right under the agreement, that doesn't stop them from exercising that right in the future. So they can be like, we're ignoring this for now, but we choose not to later.
I noticed that it was under Section D, and I said trademark and copyright law disagree with you there. You can't just put it down on a piece of paper and think that it's the truth, because if you're not aware, IP in America, if you have a trademark or a copyright license and somebody goes and steals that trademark and copyright license and you choose not to do anything about it, then you lose the trademark and copyright license because you did not defend it.
And specifically around trademark, state of Washington, which doesn't surprise me. Here's the fun one: waiver of jury trial.
That's pretty standard. Yeah. Under
But what
which
I'm saying
section? It's
is-
under
is
both sections, actually.
Look, you and I are saying this is standard because we come from a corporate background.
Yeah.
I have not seen this covered in any of the OGL coverage I've seen. Let me explain what this means. You can sue them, but it's going to be a bench trial or arbitration, which are not going to go your way.
Except in the state of Washington, where they are actually doing away with arbitration.
Yeah.
So at best, you could get a bench
bench
trial.
And you don't want that either. Okay? Also, we can amend this. Oh, I like this too. By the way, you've reviewed this agreement. They're doing this in very terms and conditions way. And then, by the way, we told you here that you should probably get a lawyer, but if you didn't, not our fault.
Yeah. Now,
this thing is hot garbage. Now, keeping in mind, and I'm going to say this out loud really quick. Okay. I am not an attorney. Mallo is not an attorney. What we are saying to you is not to be construed as legal advice. There's my disclaimer. Mallo and I have an IP attorney. Okay. We've talked to our IP attorneys. If you sign this, you are basically giving Wizards the store in exchange for nothing. And I cannot think of an attorney under the sun who would read this agreement and go, yeah, you should totally sign this.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing.
If you sign this, you're stupid.
Well, here's the thing. You don't even have to sign it. You don't actually have to sign it. You just have to make a piece of licensed work and require, and at that point in time, are required to put the OGL on there.
They're doing it through the app, and you're going to have to hit I accept on the terms.
Oh,
they're
okay. I missed that part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're going to make you hit the button so that they're covered.
Yeah.
You read the terms, you hit the I accept button under your account on D&D Beyond. Boom. Right?
I want to go back to something that we had in the chat. And they were saying the copyright doesn't need to be defended. It exists for life of the author plus however many years Disney wants. That's not actually always true. And I have seen where copyright actually does get arbitrated in court.
Muddied.
And it gets muddy. So you're kind of at a 50-50. While true, copyright should exist for the entire time. In the gaming space, copyright's a little weird because you can't actually copyright a game rule.
And that's what I want to talk about.
And it does say in this OGL that they can copyright game rules, and I'm going
specifically. And see, they're trying to trick the community. Okay, now here's the thing. Everybody in the coverage, and this is again the other thing I'm not seeing in the coverage. Everybody keeps talking about copyright. It's not copyright. That's not the word you're looking for. The word you're looking for is patent. You cannot patent game mechanics. This is settled court cases. It was actually done through video games. The concept of hit points cannot be patented.
It also cannot be copywritten at this point because too many games have used it.
What can be copywritten? So let's take IDENTECO. Once again, go to playidenteco.com.
We're gonna show
Mallo and I's specific wording, the way we describe the concept of the attributes in our game. That specific wording, that is copywritten. If you're gonna make a game based on our gaming system, you absolutely can, right? You just can't use the exact words we use to describe the attributes or a class or anything like that. Okay? That's what has to be wholly original, except in the case of an OGL. With the OGL under the current 1.0, you can use copy pasta text out of the SRD into your game book as reference material. You're allowed to do that with copyrighted material, with the statement that you're using copyrighted material. So you can't copyright mechanics because the actual proper legal framework for mechanics would be patenting. And
Correct.
What was determined a long time ago was that mechanics as a concept can't be patented, right? They just can't because it's too broad of a thing to patent. They tried to do it when first person shooters were a thing. There's a case. Hang on, I'll bring it up. If you ever want to look it up,
Well, I'll just build upon that, because what Damien linked to everybody in the server, or in the chat just now, is, you know, they're basically several paragraphs down, but they're basically says it doesn't cover bare facts, mere ideas, systems, or methods. Copyright doesn't do that. It does cover the creative way, just like you said. The way that we describe the game mechanics in our game, you cannot just go and lift. Although we have tried to and thought about doing an SRD, because frankly, as far as Alex and I are concerned, if you want to build another game off of the IDENTECO system, we are totally open for it and excited, and we'll help you as much as we possibly can, because we're not it should be open, right? Like improvisation and things like that should always be open. So when you're describing non-copyrightable game mechanics, you can do it in a number of different ways, and then that becomes your way of doing it. So that's why hit points is a universal sort of system, because it's there's at a point there becomes certain things that are so universally done and known that you can't copyright them as a concept. How you say them, you can copyright, and what you describe them. The specific expression, exactly.
Right. So that's the difference between trademark, copyright, and patent, all of which apply. But in this case, you could write a game that was based on the 5th edition system or any D&D system, and they can't really stop you, right? So
long as it doesn't
of the chat. Yep.
so long as it doesn't reference D&D exactly,
yep,
you can do it.
Now,
that's why there's a plethora of other fantasy games out there.
This is where we get into the Games Workshop stuff. The reason Games Workshop is changing Space Marines to Adeptus Astartes, and they're moving a lot of their terminology over, is they lost a copyright case, specifically a trademark case, about Space Marine. They went after an indie sci-fi author for using the term Space Marine, and the courts laughed them out of the courtroom and said, no, it's too ubiquitous of a term, it predates your company, you can't do it. So D&D can't trademark elves. Right?
George R.R. Tolkien already tried.
Yeah.
And dwarves and orcs.
The stuff they have, for example, the Beholder, that's trademarked.
It's the difference between what we call in the business capital B and little b. If Beholder was a type of animal that was widely seen, which it is at this point, which we'll get into in a second, but that's what we call a lowercase b. The Beholder TM, for lack of a better thing, is a proper noun, or big B, and that is copyrightable.
And trademarkable. Right.
Which I don't know if they have or not, because the Beholder has been one of their things for a long time. Because they couldn't trademark sci-fi. You are correct. That is exactly why they changed the branding. They saw it as a moment for the Sci-Fi channel. Chat was saying, I believe Sci-Fi changed to Sci-Fi SYFY. CP, because they couldn't trademark Sci-Fi, and that was part of it. And I think they needed a rebrand. That was in the late 90s, early 2000s, where everything was kind of going through a rebrand. And what tends to happen, I can tell this definitely, like what tends to happen is they use that as a reason to go through a whole rebranding exercise, and we're going to bring out a whole new type of thing, all because they couldn't do the one thing they wanted to do, you know?
Yeah. And actually on the Apple thing, they got into a big fight with the Beatles when they came out with Apple computers, and that had to get settled. Those trademarks had to get settled in court, because Apple was the name of the Beatles recording label that they owned.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it turned into a big thing way back in the day.
And that's why when you go to trademark something, they explain to you that you only get so many categories you can trademark things in. And if you go to the trademark office and you search Dungeons and Dragons, there's a lot of dead trademarks of things that they used to create and stuff like that. And the ways that means that all they do, like when we go to file IP trademark and stuff like that for any of our stuff, the lawyers are very specific. Like you got to be very specific about the thing that you are doing.
The documents we fill out for them it's not Identico. Specifically, the trademark that we aimed for was Identico Cyberpunk role-playing game.
Yes.
Right. That's the trademark. Right. That's and our copyright's attached to our books. So this thing is designed to do exactly what the CEO of Wizards said. They're trying to better monetize Dungeons and Dragons. And what they're doing is they're building a walled garden. Okay? They're building a walled garden.
Yeah. So the thing is
What
funny
have
too.
you seen
because
in the agreement? And did you see anything else before we get into community stuff?
Well, I did find that in the agreement, I think it was very funny to me that they did say, and this is our bridge to community, they did say that, you know, the open gaming license was meant to foster creativity and things like that within the community, not create competitors. And first of all, you just admitted that Pathfinder did it better, or Kobold Press did it better, or, you know, a handful of other major D&D games that are out there. Secondly, you've actually gone and done that, because now, as of earlier today, at least, Matthew Colville, who was Ride or Fucking Die D&D for a long time, has announced that, I think it's MCDM is his company, I think is what it is.
MCDM.
They're going to create their own system and come out with their own fan zone. And Kobold so far as well are going to do that.
They're calling it the Black Flag. I like that name, by the way. Good job, Kobold Press.
Yeah.
Here's the situation. Some of the big companies are going to start transitioning away. No, I'm not surprised. And chat's saying we haven't seen a response from Paizo yet. I'm not surprised. I imagine Paizo's waiting for two things. So let's talk about that. Community response. So obviously the internet's been up in arms, right, about this for the last 7 days. Now, after the OGL 1.1 leaked, this was what I really thought funny. And Mallo, I really want you to chime in here. And I wanted to talk to you about this yesterday. They went silent. I mean, dead silent.
Except for today.
Today they tweeted. Instagram post.
They tweeted today.
Yeah, late last night. Yep. They went dead silent. Nothing. Not a tweet, not an Instagram post. Because they'd started promoting their movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stopped. And they were like, crap.
Yep.
And then last night, they tweeted out. Hang on, I'll read it. I have it.
I believe I can almost quote it directly verbatim. We know you have questions about the upcoming OGL changes.
Yep.
We will say more about this soon.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience. I forgot that last part. Yeah. I've not done crisis communications and PR in my time at all.
Now, there was a lot of rumors saying they were going to say something today. So first off, what does them going dead silent for a week tell you, Mallo?
I will say that many of the companies that have done layoffs lately go silent for a week as well. And you try to dodge as much bad PR as you possibly can. And you don't invite the trolls in, is what it comes down to. I think somebody at WotC's PR staff knew they screwed up with this. And a leak is bad usually all the time. You never get great leaks because nobody's compelled to leak things out. If they're happy, they don't leak it. They want to keep the surprise, and they want to surprise fans and stuff like that. You only get bad leaks that come out. And so as you're kind of going through something like this, you go into what we do in the business of crisis communications, right? So you only put out things and statements that are lawyer approved at that point in time. The PR team is spending a lot of time behind the scenes figuring out how they're going to address this head on, which my guess is it's going to come out poorly just based on some of the examples that they gave in the OGL, which I think they were trying to go for, let's break it down to anybody who can make a game. What they did was it sounded flippant and in poor taste in certain areas. And somebody in the chat earlier said it too, like, you can't get your brother to do chores or something like that is in the piece. And while I think that they're trying to be funny, haha, like, you know,
it comes off really shitty.
Well, it comes off as shitty, and then at the end of it, they go, "Look, Dungeons and Dragons is a business," and we go, "Yeah, no shit." There's entire creators out here that are trying to make a business too, and you're choking them out.
That's the thing. So
and I'm not talking about licensed people either. I'm talking about all the indie people who went and made their own SRDs, but you want to be complete assholes about the TTRPG industry.
Tinfoil rumors, someone on the inside leaked it. Actually, so that was confirmed. So the leak to the person from Gizmodo actually came from a third party. They did confirm that. It was not somebody in Wizards. Again, Wizards had started sending out NDAs and stuff like that. So I think that this had gone out with some NDAs to a few, and basically what had come out was that they were reaching out to a few high-level influencers, creators, etc., and saying, this is what the new OGL is going to look like. Here's a copy. If you would like to negotiate directly with us for a specific deal, you need to do it now, before we release OGL 2.1.1. And it looked like they were about to release it the day after the leak happened. That was the scheduled day for the release of it, which also shows kind of a dick move on their part, because they expected everybody to comply within 7 days. Right?
Over the holidays.
You're giving,
Over the holidays.
You're giving Paizo, Koa, all these people 7 days to decide if they want to comply with this? Like, they would have gotten an injunction filed on them immediately, because any judge would look at that and go, you did not give enough time for the evaluation of a contract at this level.
I think they're still going to get an injunction filed against them from Paizo.
Oh, I'm sure they are. And so on the Paizo thing, I think that Paizo's probably waiting for the official release. And I think Paizo's going to do this. My co-owner of Gamer7, he had a good idea. And honestly, because Paizo and Wizards are both located in the state of Washington, if we were Paizo, I'd call the AG's office.
That was me.
Was that you?
Yes.
Yeah. Call the AG's office.
I would call the AG's office immediately, because the one thing that...
For antitrust.
Exactly. This is an antitrust document. In the EFF, the article said many others are saying the same thing. I would like to let me address some things in the chat first and foremost, because I think there was Grandpa Joe that was saying, like, sometimes they'll release these things to make it seem reasonable when they start walking it back and stuff like that. No, you don't do that. Time. You don't. That doesn't work. That never works in PR. You don't do that. You come out with the best faith effort as you can. From a pure business perspective, I don't necessarily disagree with what they are doing in this document if I was the sole owner of Wizards. However,
if I was a senior VP at Wizards and my bonus was dependent on the increase in the sale and royalties of what Wizards was putting out for D&D, this is exactly what I'd tell them to do.
But you would have to show me that...
I'm not mad at Wizards about this.
I am.
I'm mad at the community, because here's the thing. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the stream. Wizards and Hasbro have shareholders. And their job, their fiduciary responsibility, is to be good stewards of the shareholders' money and make as much money as possible. That's their job. That's their only job. And I'm not talking about the creative team at Wizards. I'm talking about CEO, whose bonus, I'm sure, largely depends on how well Wizards is producing. And I'm sure there's more people in there than that whose bonuses are, and their salaries are entirely dependent on how well is this shit selling.
What you were seeing, though. So here's the problem that I come along with some of this is...
this might be where you and I disagree, because I'm not mad at Wizards.
Well,
you said you're mad at Wizards. Why are you mad at Wizards?
Because they're allowing it to happen. You could go make 6th edition and change the SRD to 6.0 and then release the OGL that goes along with it and say, as we go to 1D&D, things are changing, and here's what it is. And we're going to make significant changes to the game, and thus we've changed the SRD, and thus we've changed the open gaming license. That is new intellectual property that you plan to copyright, and then you could put all of these licensing and things like that into play.
Okay.
The problem that you have right now is that they are referencing SRD 5.1, of which that has been around now for over a decade.
Yeah, like 8 years.
Well, in full
14, because you remember you and I did the play test
Yeah.
for 5th edition the year we started writing IDENTECO.
Yes, but it's been around longer than that. The SRD itself has been in alpha and stuff like that for longer.
It's been around since 3.0.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing that I find interesting is because Paizo makes it off of 3.5, not 5 at all.
Yeah, it's the same 1.0 OGL that applies to 3.0, 3.5, and 5th edition.
Which this OGL says that it's only SRD 5.1, which means 4th edition is anything made for 4th edition is unlicensed at all. At that point, WotC, just sell us the stuff for 4th edition because I guarantee I can put it in the Identical universe and I would outsell you in a heartbeat.
This is actually, you bring up a good point. And this is the other thing that they're doing with this agreement to most members of the community. And this is the only thing I'm mad at them about. OGL 1.0 is 900 words. This is 9,000.
Yeah, no,
most of these
it's overly
fuckers,
complex.
They cannot afford the attorney you need. And believe me when I tell you, I recently, some of you are aware of this, had to pay a litigator. Okay? Do you know how much, chat, a litigator costs? Just in a retainer.
You pay for what you get with good lawyers.
You do.
But that's why
my litigator cost me $7,000 in a retainer. That's before 1 billable hour.
Here's
Dude,
the thing.
You gotta give me 7 G's up front just to even talk to you.
I know we're in the wrong business because we understand.
I really should have gone to law school.
It's called 13th Age. No, it's not, because I'm actually going to be playing in a 13th Age game with several people from Chaos Incorporated, and I've got the 2E playtest rules, and it's not quite 4th E to that extent, and it's also still using the 3.5 rule set, sadly. Which I don't know what's going to happen with that because they're in the middle of making their 2nd edition, and it's a good system. It's a good storyline and stuff like that.
To Todd Jam Joe, government with balls, we see lots of action, and that's the other thing. This may not be enforceable in Europe. I have no idea what they're going to do about the European market because it may not be enforceable in Europe.
It might not be enforceable in the state of Washington.
Yeah,
that's the comment that I was making about the AG's office is that, you know, this is the same AG that eventually brought down Microsoft. Like, it started in Washington. It didn't start at the federal level. It started at the state level.
Yep.
And this is a state that does not like, it doesn't like monopoly. It doesn't like antitrust. It doesn't like any of those kinds of things. WotC will argue that it is the creator and that they are, you know, copywriting and protecting their creative IP. In a way, that is true. The dick move about it, again, is that you have created this entire environment based on
cottage industry.
5. Not even a cottage industry, like to the point where WotC, it's a full-on industry, yeah. And to the point where WotC considers that some of these people are full-on competitors.
Yep.
You know, and you've done that in such a way where you're now just going to tank it, and you have there's no good path forward after this. There have been so many people on Twitter who are looking for new games, picked up Pathfinder, all these other kind of things, because of this.
Here's my concern, and I did a TikTok on this last night because somebody said in the response, like, what does D&D expect us to do? Be like, yes, D&D, daddy, can I have some more, sir? Here's the thing. That's exactly what they're betting on.
Yeah.
Because I think that D&D Twitter and D&D social media is largely a lot of inside baseball. I was talking to Matt Gravelin. I know I've told you this story. I was talking to Matt Gravelin one day when he brought over some copies of Mall Kids and stuff for the store. And he goes, there's a bunch of us that feel like on D&D, on Tabletop RPG Twitter, that it's just creators advertising to other creators, not to the actual players.
Yep.
I believe that that's the case. I think that 90% of the D&D playing public, A, doesn't even know this is happening right now, and B, doesn't care.
Here's the thing.
Right? I've seen so much commentary about my friends still aren't going to play another game. They're going to sign in D&D Beyond. They're going to do the thing. So I think what D&D's betting is, look, guys, you can walk away from us, but 90% of the market's going to walk right back to our little walled garden with our Unity-coded fucking VTT and our microtransactions, and they're going to walk right back in the door.
I don't think they will.
You're finally broke the community?
Yes. You're looking at the death of tabletop for this era. and it'll come back in another era at some point in time with something else. Yeah, WotC shot itself in the foot once already with 4th edition, which again, I loved 4th edition for what it was because it was a very combat heavy strategic game. And again, I will always say that if it didn't have it, well, it was, and if it didn't have the name Dungeons and Dragons attached to it, it probably would have still be around.
You and I agree wholeheartedly on that point.
The thing that I think you're going to do is, and you and I talked about this a little bit in the Discord. If you haven't, there's a link to the Discord down below. Come join us because you can hear some of this stuff in real time. The problem with that thought process, and I said it then, is D&D has been getting free marketing for ages because of Drive-Thru RPG and all of the creators out there that are making things for D&D.
5e stuff for them. Yep.
Yeah. And your kobolds and your green ronins and all, that is not marketing dollars they have to spend to make up for the amount of unaided awareness. I'm going to start throwing out my day job shit. To get the amount of unaided awareness that it takes to make up for losing this many types of people, they don't have the cash for it. Hasbro stocks are way down because of fourth quarter poor sales to begin with.
It's up this week.
It was down at the end of the year, and the projections for 2023 aren't great because of rising costs to actually make toys.
It's 1 week. Hasbro's up 6.5% in the last 5 days.
To what though?
65.93.
Pittance.
They're up. Their month, where 1 month is up 10%.
Pittance to Hasbro. And the only reason it's up is because they think they're going to make money off of this kind of stuff. But they're not. Because you know who does the word of mouth and stuff like that? Is all the creators doing things. And we have speculated that Critical Role has its own contract with D&D and that they may stay on the stuff like that. But let's us not forget that Critical Role started as a Pathfinder home game.
And the other thing too is, my guess is, and this is, and I'm telling you this right now, and Mallo, I think will back me up on this. One of two things is already happening. Either A, Critical Role has already signed a separate agreement outside of the OGL with D&D. If they have done so, which is why you haven't seen them say anything, any agreement like that is going to include a mutual non-disparagement clause.
It's possible, but if there's another press out there,
they're not going to let Matt Mercer talk shit about him. Period.
Matt Mercer can say whatever he wants to. It's a free speech place.
But as a representative of the company, they could put in mutual non-disparagements.
You could if he signs anything, but it would have to be, you would have to have it in such a way that Matt Mercer himself, not the company. See, the company, they have Critical Role Incorporated, which is now a shield to anybody on that still protects their ability to have free speech.
And Damien in the thing is saying he's liking tweets. Yes, I have seen that people have noticed that he's liked a few tweets that are very critical of 1.1. So I think he's doing his level best to stay out of it while still signaling that he's not happy about this.
There is a high chance that Wildmount is still owned by Darrington Press, which is the game arm of Critical Role Incorporated.
And I'm sure between Journey to the Valiant Fair, whatever that Citadel one was, I'm sure they've got a deal with Wizards.
I don't know actually. I think that could be the third and fourth one that's coming.
Previous one. Now here's the thing.
Oh yeah.
They may end up leaving. Yeah. If I was Matt Mercer, I'd create my own system.
That's what I'm thinking. If you've got or partner with fucking Colville and shit like that. Yeah. He's got if Matt Mercer today tweeted and said to all the people like Abria Iyengar and stuff like that have been working with them on this stuff and Dimension 20 and all these kind of things, do you not think that they could put out a banger of a game? The system would be different and a lot of things would have to change, but their ability to do and tell stories, it would be a very story driven kind of game. And I think it would be the one to take on D&D. And I think that's the thing that WotC probably looked at, but are calling people's bluff. There's a lot of other ones out there.
My current bet is that WotC's betting that 80% of the D&D players, even if they're pissed of them now, come back in 6 months. That's got to be the bet. And like you said, I don't think, and again, addressing chat, I don't think there's any effective way for them to walk this back now. And I think that's why they've been silent.
I don't think they want to.
I don't think they want to either.
This is the most pro WotC and D&D contract you can have out there, other than saying it's our game and you can't license it at all.
They don't want to, but again, I think the reason they're radio silent is this is the 1.1, and they're like, crap. And I don't think they know how to sell it to the community. Being that it leaked, everybody looked at it and went, this is garbage, right? Now, because I think they thought they would be able to release the OGL 1.1 with some other thing and sell it to the community, but they didn't get that opportunity because it got leaked.
Well, and that's why PR. That's why you don't preview things like this with creators and give them stuff like that. Somebody got a hold of it, and I mean, Kickstarter obviously negotiated their deal for the 20%, so obviously Kickstarter had seen it. Yeah, but Kickstarter would have been under an NDA. A small creator
whoever leaked it was under NDA. They just
but a small creator doesn't matter, and unless they put a watermark in this, that I haven't looked too far to find it.
The way that this came was somebody copied it, and my understanding is they copied what Wizards gave them, the watermark version, into a notepad file.
Yeah, there's ways. There's ways.
Formatting.
Well,
and then they sent that notepad file to the person at Gizmodo.
I don't want to give away too many trade secrets, but that doesn't work to kill the watermark on a particular file or image, because I
think they hand typed it.
I don't think that would have been a very long hand typing. That is possible. They could have done
9,000 words would take me about an hour and a half. Yeah.
If they transcribed, it's possible. As I think would be. At that point, they could have just opened up Microsoft Word. Then.
So to address chat, one of the only things I've seen people say can prove this is here's 1.0C. This license is irrevocable. Oh, let's talk about this. The 1.0. This is where we get into some weird legal terms. And again, so the former VP at Wizards has said that it was never their intent to revoke that license. However, there is a term that they use in the 1.0 OGL that says perpetual.
Yeah.
The trick is it doesn't say irrevocable.
Yeah.
They say, as long as we want this to last, it will last. It is a perpetual license. That's what that means. The problem is that a lot of people thought perpetual meant irrevocable.
Well,
the 1.0 license
it depends on which judge you get, because perpetuity does mean in legal terms forever and ever, amen.
Right. And again, depending on which judge you get, and they're going to have an uphill battle, but
100%.
You'll notice in the 1.1, it says that the thing you're giving them, that sub-license, is irrevocable. Not perpetual, irrevocable. And they use that term. Whereas in 1.0, they did not use the term irrevocable.
And then that's the argument that you have is irrevocable, but is it in perpetuity at that point? If I make something
both.
Right,
and that's both terms next to each other,
right, and that's the piece. I think there's an argument to be made that anything using any version, any other version besides SRD 5.1, could be covered under perpetuity in the original OGL, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, you'd have to go to court about it. It's got to be litigated, and that's the problem.
The problem here also is that none of this has ever been tested in court. None of it, right? There's very little precedent to land on here. Yes, the guy who wrote the OGL, which is the one I'm talking about, said that that was never the intent. He came out with that statement last week, specifically to the person at Gizmodo, because after it all came out, he ended up reaching out to her, or them, sorry, and said, hey, by the way, I was the one that wrote this. We never meant for this to be revocable. We never wanted to give Hasbro that power, but whether they intended to or not, again, he's going to be a great witness in the court case, but
it's not going to matter.
I mean,
here's the thing.
Judge you get.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it becomes what argument and story do you tell the judge, and if you can get and see, here's the thing about it is they can say that you don't have a right to have a jury in one OGL, but you can just go and sue Wizards of the Coast and get a jury trial.
Yeah,
you and I could go sue them tomorrow for anything and force a jury trial, and we could keep going assuming we had unlimited funds, all the way up to the Supreme Court, assuming we could continue to appeal. That's the way the jury system works.
Now, this is to our fellow creators, and we got a lot of people in the chat right now, and those of you who are hanging out, I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I see some new names in there, so hey, folks, give us a follow. Here's the thing, and I'm going to bring this back to IDENTECO now. Okay, when Mallo and I were writing the book, we went through a process. And part of that process was we did look at other games that had either Creative Commons or OGL licenses upon which to base the rule set for IDENTECO. We did not do that for two reasons. One, none of the rule sets really did what we wanted them to do vis-a-vis how we wanted IDENTECO to play, stylistically. But number two is Mallo and I always knew, and this is for my creators, that by stamping compatible with 50 on the cover would have increased our market reach significantly, massively. But it also meant we were always in danger.
Yep.
Right? At the end of the day, again, I have so much sympathy for all of the, especially the smaller creators, the ones who are making like just eking out a living, pumping out 5e products and love what they do. I feel so bad for those people right now because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect this game at all. Go look at our book. There's no OGL licensing in here. Why? Because we wrote this clean.
Yeah. I think for a lot of it too is we always thought about being able to expand and do our own SRD and do other types of games down the line. We had always had the foresight and forethought. Frankly, from our backgrounds, we always had the forethought that this exact thing was going to happen. I don't want to call us futurists in a lot of things, but we do try to look around a lot of corners for something like this. And the amount of worry that we had was, it was immense. You know, the whole reason we did this was we wanted to have some sort of creative freedom and be able to say, at the end of the day, we had some sort of product that we could put out there. Whether it actually became financially successful enough for us to do it full time or not, we always kind of bet that maybe it could one day, but we didn't know when and how long it could take, if at all. But at the end of the day, we want to be proud of the thing that we put out there. What license is IDENTECO released with? Our own. Copyright Humanoid Games 20, all the way up to 2019 at that point. There is no open license with it, although we easily give it out and work through it if we had to. It's not a problem for us in terms of how we want to get others to play the game, because at the end of the day here, and I did a very long rant about this on Twitter, and I haven't been on Twitter much because of all of the things that are going on with Elon and stuff like that, but the ability to actually get creative, be successful in the TTRP industry, it is damn near impossible for most indie publishers. If this is the thing that makes at least a couple more indie publishers be successful enough to where they can do it full time, I'm happy to see WotC burn for it. You can clip that if you want to. But that's the thing, is it is so difficult because of cost, because of anti-competitive strategies happening across the board, because of the means to which most players can afford books, and the means at which you can put content out for those books are cost prohibitive in the end. And once you factor in all of the costs that it takes to make a book and things like that, it takes forever and a day, and it's really difficult to fully be profitable. And if this inspires or gets other games out there that then become profitable and actually become good competitors for D&D, I'm all about it. I'm all about it all day, every day. Alex is not muted. I think he is frozen. I think his computer messed up again. So I'm gonna keep talking to you guys. We will do WotC Kmart. SEAL team. He is on the struggle bus with tech lately. It's funny. I'm actually cutting the cord on Friday, and getting fiber internet. So I'm hoping that my connections and things like that are going to be a little bit better. Oh look, we're just switching sides. He'll be back in a second. I actually did switch us over to the go live. I'm actually hosting, which is why the stream didn't go down now.
Yeah. This happens about once every freaking blue moon. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. GG fiber. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, baby. I can't wait.
It's not the fire. My computer keeps resetting.
No, it
it's
does.
not my internet connection. It's
oh yeah,
my computer.
No. Sorry, I was telling him the story. I'm cutting the cord on Friday, and so we were just having having story time with Mallo. That's all,
nice.
Just to fill in
That's
while
good.
you were froze up.
We like it. Here's the thing. You and I disagree on one point. You think that a lot of the community is going to leave.
Yeah.
When this thing's, I don't have that much faith in the D&D community. I just don't.
Thanks, Blue Jay.
Yeah, they're gonna come for your internet now. Yeah, see, they're coming after you because they thought I was still hosting.
Joke's on them. You got to cut a lot of lines coming to this house now.
Again, I know it's a lot of work, my fellow creators. I really do. Build your own system.
Build your own system. Build your own kind of things. I mean, there's been a lot of different ones going out there today about iHunt, Valor, some others that have been around, some friends of ours.
Dude, yeah, go support them too.
Yeah. iHunt, the idea of iHunt, and again, we're going to be playing, this is off stream, but we're going to be playing in a game of 13th Age. Caleb's going to run it, all because I ran my mouth off and said I wanted to do a steampunk style game. And we're gonna, it's gonna be an off-stream kind of thing and stuff like that. But it's learning another system. It's learning a little bit more of different perspectives and things like that. It's a lot more fun. It's fun to learn a bunch of systems.
So go into chat. The rest will go back because it's a recognizable name. A lot of people invested, and that's some of the commentary I've seen. Is I've bought $200 worth of books on D&D Beyond. I can't just leave.
I've thought about coming and donating my D&D to the store.
I understand your perspective. If you spent $200 on D&D Beyond, I get it. I do. I really do.
Yeah. Although none of that's going to be useful anymore, I don't think, with one D&D, because then you have to pay a subscription. I think of all things, that's going to be starting to push people away, is the fact that now the thing that I was buying in hard copy, or I bought a copy of digitally, I now have to pay a subscription for. And let's be honest, we're getting subscribed to death with many subscription services, cable, the whole 9 yards. And I think that's the problem that's going to be happening. I get the digital, I got some digital books and stuff like that.
I have some, save them in PDF. Again, if you buy the Identico PDF, you get to keep it forever as long as you save the file.
Yeah. Well, or I think it should be in your, so long as...
I'm just saying, in your drive-through library. But I'm saying, if you save that file at a drive-through, even if drive-through goes down, you have that file. Here's the thing. Do you see this?
Yeah.
They can't take this from me.
Yep. Damien the DM is got a good thing.
Take this from me.
True.
When you sign into D&D Beyond and you do tabletop RPGs as a service, right? It's what they did with Spelljammer, and it's what's happening, because a lot of people have noticed that like Apple and Amazon are losing rights and things. So even if you bought it, you lost it out of your library. It's not, you didn't buy it. It's a lease.
Yeah.
You've basically got a long-term lease. And I have enough 3.0 and 3.5 content to run games until I die.
Right.
And let alone my Rifts library, which Mallo has seen.
Yep.
Right.
Of which I throw elbows in that area now, after enough of the things like challenge accepted.
I have enough gaming content. Oh yeah, Dingers bring up the D6 Star Wars library, and I got a bunch of that too.
That's a great one. Such a great one.
I don't like tabletop RPGs as a service. I never will.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Because with this and this, I can be entertained forever.
But here's the thing, though, that I would say. I want to make
they can't take it.
Two quick points. Is let's be real. The cost of tabletop gaming is a lot because it costs a lot to make it. And our customers, and I say our as in the tabletop community at large, has disposable income, but doesn't have enough to sustain the number of creators and things like that to make a full sort of economy out of it.
I think that it's just been sucked up into one company for a long time.
We'll see. I don't think it does for most of the indie creators and stuff like that out there, which means you make it for passion and you make it for love.
And that's part of the community issue. Because I think a lot of the reaction from the community is a lot of these people, when they create something like you and I, we didn't create Identico being like, we're going to get rich, right? And that's most of the community. Wizards doesn't see it that way. And this is what the community needs to understand. They don't see it that way. They see it as, we make a product, and they say it in the new OGL. We make a product, we sell a product. Right? They don't care. And this is the thing you need to think of. Third-party creators, people like us, people who never intended to get rich off this hobby, but want to make some money doing it, they still see it as a community.
Yeah.
Wizards uses community as a buzzword to make more money. They do not, in any way, shape, or form, see D&D as a community. You are a customer base.
Yeah.
They're a corporation. They do not care about you as much. They be like, we value the D&D community. No, they don't. No, they
I
don't.
would say the creative team. I would say there's probably a lot of people at WotC and stuff like that probably do. Because they grew up in that.
Sorry, I'm not talking about the creative team. And let me be clear with this. I'm not talking about the creative team.
You're not hating on Crawford and Chris and all those. Okay.
Nope.
Because I'm not hating on them either. I know they were the ones that were pushed out there to do the announcements because they're the faces of the company, but I'm not mad at them.
No, I'm not mad at the creatives at all. And don't go after the creatives. This is not their cult. These are the people that run the business unit. The people who are in the same position as I was at the last company I was at. I ran literally in the system in the way that Oracle fucking BI works. I ran a business unit. And in various companies, you'll see the term business unit run, right? It typically means you are P&L responsible and you have a budget and you have to make money. It's the people running the business unit. That's their job.
Yeah.
Make money. And they do not care about the community. It won't affect KOTOR. They'll just ignore it, which is, again, that clause that I told you where it says, just because we choose not to exercise our right here does not mean we forfeit our right to exercise it somewhere else, right? That's what that clause is for, is we're not going to go after KOTOR because we ain't messing with those companies, right? But we can come after you.
Correct.
That's what that clause is there for. This is the thing. Hasbro is not stupid. Okay? And they're right about a lot of things. If you listen to that Fireside Chat, 20% of their player base makes up 70% of their revenue, and they know it. So they've got an 80% of their player base who didn't spend any money right now.
Yeah.
And that's their job. Okay? Get those people to give us more money.
Yep. You're what they call in the video game world the whales, which is a terrible term, but that's what they called it.
And here's the thing. They're not wrong. When I read the shareholder, this is before the OGL stuff broke, when I read the shareholder Fireside Chat transcript, and they were like, we're under monetized because this, I was like, they're not wrong. Okay? The tabletop RPG community doesn't spend a lot of money. Yeah, they've outright said people have custom agreements, is what chat's saying. Yeah, they absolutely do. And again, they won't go after the KOTOR makers. They don't care.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You look at that thing, and I actually want to ask Mallo about this too. they make it very, very clear in the wording of that contract.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mean to create Paizo. We didn't mean to create Cobalt Press. Now, in their estimation, based on the previous fact, they estimate that there are about 20 companies that are making about $1 million a year or more.
Right.
Right? That's who they're after. Because what they're saying is if there's 20 of them and Paizo made 31 million and da-da-da-da-da, there's 70 million in revenue that we either A, fully capture, or B, or at least get some royalties off of. That's what they're after. They're not... The smaller creators, the $150,000, $200,000 creators, those are the ones that, and again, I know they're going to lower the royalty rate. They're going to bring it down to about $150,000, $200,000.
Absolutely.
And the minute this
backfires and they don't actually get any money from Cobalt Press, MCDM,
and Paizo
and stuff like that, when they don't actually get any of the money that they think that they're going to get, and they tank the fucking
like, we're done.
Yeah. All those motherfuckers have had 4 games sitting out. How many times have you and I redesigned Identico alone? And you and I are working dads with day jobs and you got a whole nother company. You know, I've got other consulting and everything like that going on the side, and we've redesigned Identico 4 other times. Do you think that Jason and those guys at Paizo don't have 5 other ways that are already baked and ready to go?
Yeah.
It's going to cost them a lot of money to do it.
The fact that Cobalt moved within a week,
they had it in the chamber. It'll be the race is on to see who will put out the next SRD.
Again,
who can get a copy written first.
Who this really screws is the good third-party creators that are in that $150,000 to $200,000 revenue line. Now, let me tell you something about the revenue line. When somebody's making $200,000 in revenue on gaming books, they're probably clearing $40,000 a year.
Yeah. After cost and everything, you're saying? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's how much they're paying themselves. $40,000 a year.
If that.
The 20%. What got me was I went 20%. Holy crap! Because when they bring that down to 250. That's going to kill entire runs. I ran though the number, like I did the budgetary runs for Identico, right? Sean knows I ran the initial one. If we would have had to pay 20% on top of everything, book's dead. It's done.
Book was done before it even started at that point.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it should be noted too, at the price point that we sell the book at, both direct and through the stores, still ain't making that much money on it.
Nope.
We make it just is what it is. It is the cost of doing business, unfortunately.
Okay. Should we move on to funner topics?
20% is why Sanderson is boycotting his books from Amazon. He's also boycotting Audible for a lot of reasons too.
Yeah, and actually, I don't disagree with that. And maybe we'll talk about that one next week because that's actually a really interesting topic. I saw that this week. Unfortunately, OGL tabletop drama has sucked us down. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat.
We'll come back to it at the end.